Welcome. Welcome to this presentation on safely working with forces of light and dark. This presentation is about 2 hours long, and I'm going to share with you all the skills that I have learned over the past 5 years of working with these beings, of working with entities, curses, black magic, sacrifices in lineages. There are a lot of things that our ancestors have done that cause problems for later generations. And it's not just about trauma. Sometimes they have invited things into the lineage. Sometimes they've done it to get revenge. Sometimes they did it for survival. Sometimes they were tricked by dark forces who were posing as light. You see this a lot in the church. So in this presentation, I'm going to share a little bit about my journey, how I got to where I am, my first 9 years of working with traditional constellations. And then all of a sudden, dark forces showed up in a constellation, and this completely changed my worldview. So I'll share that story with you. I'll also share what I've learned about working with the dark, the trickiness of them, things you have to look out for. Most importantly, how to create safety for a group, how to create safety for your representatives, what to look out for, what are the clues in the field when dark forces are relevant, because they are certainly not always relevant, but sometimes they are. I'll also share about working with high vibration helpers. Again, how to keep representatives safe. The helpers that have been most important to me, relevant to holding these fields, light and dark, again, curses, entities, attachments, malevolent forces, malevolent spirits. I'll also share about grounding, the importance of grounding to earth energies while working with these beings and forces. So this is up on YouTube, and I would love for you to comment and share any impacts down below. Particularly would love for you to share if you have any resources. What are things you've learned? What are the ways that you have worked with these beings? Are there a certain book that you have read? So definitely leave those comments down below. If you find this training video valuable, please like it. I am putting out new constellation videos on YouTube about once a month. So subscribe. Hit the subscribe button down below, hit the notification button down below, and you will get updates every time I release a new constellation teaching video, a constellation video. Many of these are training videos. That is my passion, and my path right now is training facilitators. And so I hope you enjoy this. I hope it's a blessing for you. I hope it's a blessing for your clients. I do want to add one more thing. While in this video, I'm basically speaking about dark forces relevant to an idea of reptilians. Believe that or don't believe that, bring your skeptic, 100% fine, doesn't matter. But whatever the name that is used, I think the Christian name is demons or fallen angels or malevolent spirits or entities. It's all the same. It's all the same. And the way I've experienced working with these beings, energies, and forces, it's all the same. See them, acknowledge them, bring in a ton of light, high vibration energies and beings. Follow the field. The field will show you the way. Create enough safety. Always have more light in the field than low vibration forces. And magic happens. So while I don't name these other things, entities and curses and black magic, when I'm speaking about the dark forces, I'm speaking about all of that. So hope you enjoy. Please like and subscribe. Leave your comments below. And hope this is a blessing for those you serve. Ciao. All right. For me, two things. For me, two things. There are sisters and brothers out there, many, many millions, to be honest, of sisters and brothers out there who need our help. Those of us who are on the healing path, those of us who are sharing our gifts with the world. There are, I believe, probably millions at least of people with attachments, entities, low vibration forces affecting them, low vibration forces that have access to them through the lineage, through the blood, through sexual encounters, not of the highest vibration. And they can't get help. They can't get help. They're not going to go work with the shamans in Peru or Africa. They don't know where to go. And so their life day in and day out is marginalized, impacted, sabotaged. And I believe you and I, we can help them, right? We can certainly help people with lineage stuff. We can certainly help people with past life stuff. That's great, right? Many of us on this Zoom call know how to do that, and that's lovely. But there are many others who have traumas relevant to light and dark that have nowhere to go, have nowhere to go. And I believe if you and I learn this medicine as a way to help those of us who are drawn, not everybody's drawn, and that's wonderful. But for those you and I who are drawn to learning to work with these fields more safely, and some of you already do, many of you on this call already do. So thank you so much for having the courage. I get it because it took me a long time to have the courage also. I was very afraid for the first year or two as I was holding these fields. So that's one of the two things. Helping our sisters and brothers to clear these energies and they don't have anywhere else to go. The second reason this presentation is important to me is because I believe, and this is more in the Western nations, but I believe these beings are real and they are impacting humanity at all levels. Particularly, I would say right now at the level of politics and government. I think they've done it through the church, for thousands of years. They do it through entertainment. I was just watching a video today, a song I like called Bonnie Tyler, Total Eclipse of the Heart. And I had never seen the video before. I sing along so I get my energy right to prepare to present with all of you. And I noticed as I watched the video, there are dark forces represented in that video. And it just made me fucking sad and it pissed me off, to be honest. The dark forces in a lot of our Hollywood culture. So a lot of the messages we get are compromised with low vibration frequencies and energies. And you see it a lot in the music industry and what's happened to music over the past 30, 40, 50 years. So I believe that you and I can help our sisters and brothers wake up through leading a constellation, through having the awareness of these frequencies and beings. And I believe that, at least for myself, the greatest way I can be in service to humanity at this time, personally, is supporting sisters and brothers to wake up to the fact that these beings and forces are real Because when we know these beings and forces are real, we can take different actions. We can protect ourselves. We can hold a higher vibration for ourselves. We cannot get into loveless sexual encounters, you know? So, I'm grateful to share this with all of you. I'm grateful that for some reason you signed up to be here and share this with the people you support. And yeah, I hope this whole presentation is a blessing. But anyway, those are my two reasons for being here. And I want to bring your voices in too. I want to bring your voices in too. So I would love to have some of your shares and what's drawing you, what has you here. And what we can have you do is simply raise your hand. You can raise your hand virtually. Steph, how do people raise their hands? Oh, there we go. Steph, how do you do that, Steph?
Yeah, so at the bottom of your screen, you should have a bar there at the bottom, and you have to click on the react. It's like a big heart at the bottom of your screen, and then you can raise your hand.
Cool. There it is. Okay, good. I see it at the
Yeah.
bottom middle next to chat.
Mhm.
Thank you. Great. I see someone has their hand raised, but they don't have their name on. So I would love to hear from you. We'll take maybe like a minute each. Let's go for like 5 to 10 minutes. Just bring our voices in as we co-create our circle.
I just have a question. I was wondering, how does loveless sexual encounters relate to dark energy?
Yeah, and we will go into that. And we're going to do that about the middle. And if I don't go into it, remind me, but I'll definitely go into it. But it's a great question. Others, what has you here? What's drawing you? Have you had experience with these frequencies and beings?
Hi there. I'm in a car. I don't find the place to raise my hand.
Go ahead, Martin.
Yeah, I work a lot with different from I have been learning Aleister Crowell magic, and I don't see them as low beings. I see them as angels, fallen angel and normal angels, and the fallen angels should work for us, the low beings, but they refuse sometimes. And then you have to get them in your own court with, sort of Aleister Crowley prayers. There's sort of prayers to protect yourself and to get them in your, I call them demons. And I work with them for 2 years now. And it's okay if they listen to you, you can protect yourself. And then, but I think the other question also, people who get sexual assaulted or whatever, we always speak about fight and freeze, right? We always speak about fight, flight, and freeze. You agree?
Many times, absolutely.
But there is a fourth one, and that is disappear, like dissociation. And when people disappear, when they really have a big trauma, then other beings can go into them. Then there is empty space because they have gone out of the body, an out-of-body experience, like a big trauma. So then those beings can go in, and then they get addicted or other stuff. That's my experience. So then we have to get them out again. That you can do also with a sort of spells, and then they're free, because these lower beings are to serve us, not to break us. So that's my experience I wanted to share.
Thank you, Martin. Appreciate that. Let's do a couple more, and I want to focus these more on what has you here, a little more of the personal, not so much how to deal with the beings. We'll get into that shortly. Ashini.
Hi, Jack. Hi, everybody. So, what got me here was your invitation, because the way you had written about this particular aspect, we in India are the ones who are constantly facing these. Because black magic, entities, curses, it's such a normal phenomena in India that I'm pretty sure most of my Indian friends who are sitting here, they have encountered something or the other or a shade of it in their career or maybe in their personal lives as well. So when you opened this particular topic, it was like a breath of sigh. It was like sigh of a relief that yes, somebody is talking about it. Like I've also done talk to the entities from Access Consciousness, so I had a little bit of introduction, you could say that, into this world. But when I started doing constellations, oh my God, it was like again and again, all of these particular aspects were coming up. And it's very important to really know that how do we deal with them with safety, as you have been saying that your representatives have to be very, very safe. So that was something that brought me here, because I want to know how can I really create that kind of a safety so that nobody is entangled with it or gets attached to any of those stuff. So that was what brought me here. So thank you so much for opening this topic.
Thank you for sharing, Ashini. Appreciate you. Yeah, thanks for being here. A couple more. What has you here? Thank you, Sandra. Wonderful. Anna, Anaha, Anaha.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Anaha. That's right. Thank you. So yeah, I agree with what Aishni just said. I'm also from India and have experienced all of the above in its fullest, most craziest glory. Personally, attacks done to me personally, but as well as in my clients. Now, the way I have been handling it is through what I've learned in hypnotherapy, entity removal, and all of that. And even there was a lot of towards the end, like I used to attract a lot of clients who would have these issues, and it kept getting quite crazy. But at one point, I completely stopped working with them because I found that if I don't heal the inner core of the person, their self-love and the sense of self, they remain fragmented. They just become more easy victims. So I started working more and more focusing on that, because otherwise, some way or another, it was impacting me. Because when I was releasing them, black magic or entities, somewhere those things would find a way to attack me or create chaos in my family. And so I just completely stayed away for a while. But when I was learning constellation work, I learned it from Yuval and Morgan. I'm not sure if you know them. They had learned from Bert Hellinger as well. And they've been amazing teachers for us, and I really, really love and respect them. But in that format, we were not really the topic of black magic and entities were not entertained in Constellation. So what brings me here today is I'm really fascinated to know how we can now address it through constellation work as well in a safe manner. And like you said, it has to be safe for the representatives. That is also a primary learning, something that I'm really eager to learn. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. We'll do about a minute each for the three people that have their hand up, and then we're going to move forward. So Patty, and then Harshi, and then Abir.
Hi, hello there. Greeting from Poland. I'm doing family constellation for people, but also a hypnotherapy. And I was doing through this study, like basically the most of like individual sessions. But when I started to doing this in group, because obviously on individual, you when you work individual, the field doesn't speak as much as you work with the group. And when I start to do workshop with the groups, I've seen twice already people being possessed. I mean, like the soul was possessed, but those beings. And actually, I start to look at this like exorcism, yeah, in a way. So for me, it was actually, I wasn't scared of that, but for me, it was a kind of a new experience to this field, and actually nobody would like to talk about this, even in a group where I have a friends which do family constellation. I don't think they will do understand those things. So when I when I when I meet you on the YouTube, and I saw that you're doing the shamanic things, and you talk about this, and you exposed those beings, and others like this Michael, archangels, and all those other Pleiadians, which I do understand that they are showing also to protect and to help. I mean, sometimes protect, help, sometimes no, because they are split. They are split also, I believe. So for me, it was very interesting to write to you. That's why I'm here, because I write to you, you inviting to me here. So there I'm here to see how this is gonna work and how we can work this in a group together. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Appreciate your share. Harshi.
Hey Jack, hi everyone. What brings me here is your story. You mentioned that you never worked with lower beings earlier, and it just happened to you, and now you do a lot of work with lower beings and helping humanity through this work, right? Kind of similar experiences I've had in my life where I've refused to work with lower beings all my life, being a therapist and a healer, but somehow again and again it has reappeared in some form or other, in either divine messages or oracle messages or card message or somebody telling me as part of my sessions or so on and so forth, right? So I'm curious. I want to understand more how it works, what you do, the shift that has happened in your life with this entire, change, not working with because we are now completely focused on that work, and how it's been, and basically learn from you the entire journey and how safe it is and everything about it. So quite happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome. Abir.
Yes,
Final comment.
hi, how are you? And hello to each and everyone. So my journey started long time back when I was a child, and there was an attack, but it was an animal spirit, which I thought to be something dark, but with age I knew it's maybe trying to awaken me or protect me. But with university time, I was attacked more than once with a huge forces, dark forces, and I used to see bruises on my whole body till my consciousness start understanding that I don't need to fear them or do anything but have compassion and respect. And the more the compassion and respect got higher, the more they don't exist in my life anymore. But I'm here today to learn more and to see if I can have a better vibration myself. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Abir. Welcome. Yeah, and I will share with you in the thank you email a conversation that I posted on Facebook, which about 90 people responded. And the topic of that Facebook conversation was psychic attacks and how to protect ourselves. And so I'll share that Facebook, and if you want to check it out, you're welcome to. A lot of very, very, very interesting points that people brought up about how they've learned to work safely or protect themselves from these beings. I think some of you will appreciate that conversation. Okay, I want to share a bit about my journey. So 5 years ago, I didn't know these beings existed. My awareness of this idea of light and dark was, okay, scary movies like The Exorcist scare me, and the Amityville horror, and terrifying, the idea of evil. And my worldview, honestly, was very I realized afterwards, I didn't realize at the time, but so sort of Christian. So sort of Christian. And I guess there are dark forces. I don't know. Are demons real? I don't know. I have no idea. And then I'm working with this client, and one of the reps in the field says, oh, there are these dark beings here. And she called them reptilians. She called them reptilians. Some of you have heard of reptilians, and some of you probably haven't. I had never heard of reptilians. I know what that was. But it felt malevolent. The energy felt malevolent. I was scared, not terrified, but I was nervous. That's for sure, right? As some of you have that when you've come in contact with these forces. But I was working on grandma and grandpa at the time. So I was working somewhere else in the lineage, somewhere else in the field. And I went back to her about 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later. And she said, oh, they're gone now. They're gone now. And I was like, well, okay. You know, part of me was relieved. Oh, good. I don't have to work there. That's fine with me. And I'll share that this client had a really devastated family field. Really devastated family field. Murders, sexual abuse everywhere, not just like one sexual abuse, which every lineage has, but like every generation. And I left that constellation, and I was like, the question I had was, is that real? And some of you have seen this from the Facebook post. Is that real, or was that projection? But for the next month, the universe kept giving me signs of, no, that's real. That's real. I mean, I saw a video a couple days after that. Someone was doing a video around COVID. And his video recorded on COVID was that low vibration beings were a part of COVID, a part of what was going on with COVID. Wow, okay. Wow, 2 days ago, I just did this constellation and there were these dark forces. Okay, I'm taking that in. Then I started to look at some books, some channeled materials. I did some research, found a book called How the Arcturians Are Healing Planet Earth, and I'll send that to you, the link to that in the thank you email. And in that book, it talked about high vibration beings, and that there are low vibration beings here on this planet. So basically, I just got a bunch of signs over the next month, and there were like 10 of them. It was like not just a couple of signs, there was like 10. And they were all saying that this is real. That this idea, the idea of reptilians, is that there are other beings on this planet. And they vibrate in a different frequency, and so we can't see them, but that they feed off human energy. And in particular, they feed off low vibration human energy because that's the level they vibrate at. So that's a food source for them. Well, I'm working with this client a month later, and you know, I said, you want to work on this thing that we saw in the last constellation? Because we had done like 7 constellations. We never got to the bottom. We never got to the bottom of what was going on for her field. It always felt like that. It always felt like we got some value, but it seemed like we always missed the thing. And she said, no, I don't want to work on that. You know, let's work on, I should have known, right? She said, let's work on murder. I feel like murder is always coming at me. And I'm like, okay. We set up 2 reps. We set up a rep for her. We set up a rep for murder. And within 5 minutes, both of those reps had morphed into reptilians. Arrogant, rageful, so arrogant, sexually potent, dismissive, all of them. And what I did was I did what I had learned from this very first book, which I will talk more about this later, much more deeply. I brought in high vibration helpers. I brought in these beings called Arcturians. Supposedly, if you believe in them, if you don't, fine. But they've been like the most helpful rep I've ever had in the field. Supposedly, high vibration beings from the star Arcturus, here to help humanity at this time in our evolution of consciousness, And in particular, they seem to have great capability of working with these low vibration influences and beings. Great capability. They're very neutral. They have love for everything, but they can certainly help in the field. And I brought in a rep for Angels of All Loving Realms, which is another one I like to work with. And we were able to serve and support this client, right? So that was 5 years ago. The question I had to wrestle with, again, as I mentioned in the Facebook post that some of you came through an email. Can I trust the field? Can I trust that this is coming up in the field for my client and that the field knows me and that the field knows all of you? Also, I believe the field is conscious and intelligent, and that intelligent beings work through the field also. And it knows our reps. And it knows that this is what this particular client needs. This is what this particular client needs. Can we trust that? And from that place, are we willing to help them? Are we willing to help them? And if we're a no, it's not for us, then we're a no, it's not for us, it's fine. It's fine. This is not medicine for each of us to carry. It's medicine for some of us to carry. Some of us work much more ancestrally. Some of us work much more past lives. Some of us work just with the energies. It's fine. It's great. We all bring the gifts that we can. I believe that part of the reason why I can hold this field and why 2/3 of my constellation, probably done 100 constellations at this point, working with these beings and frequencies, and not had problems, and helped a lot of people. There have been some bumps, but there have been bumps with my traditional family constellations also, right? There have been bumps in both, and they've been about equal. One, this didn't come to me until I've been facilitating for 9 years. So let's own that, right? I'd already been facilitating for 9 years. Now this starts to show up. So I have some experience at this point. And the work that I did, I remember I was training with Peter Faust, one of the big, large trainers here in the US. And he's like, Jack, can you represent the perpetrator? It was like the rapist or something like that. And I come from a very codependent background, very codependent. I had to meet my mother's needs and take care of the household and make sure that the energies in the house were safe. And here I am asked to represent the perpetrator. I can't do it. I mean, I can, but I'm like, oh, I'm the bad one. I'm mean. I mean, that's where I'm at. I can't do it. I can't do it. Wasn't allowed to have my anger in childhood, so all of that was shut down. And believe me, codependents have anger. It's just hidden. It's a survival strategy. And I was like, wow, I can't do this. It's like I don't have access to these more shadowy, darker aspects of myself. Right? People talk about the part, some people mention here the parts work. And so I went on a quest, and I went on a quest for about 3 or 4 years. And for 3 or 4 years, my prayer when I was doing personal work, whether medicine work, working with ayahuasca, whether in family constellation work, whether in group or relational authenticity fields, was I want to own my perpetrator and I want to own my darkness. I want to own my perpetrator and I want to own my darkness. And the reason why, at least consciously, intellectually, was because I wanted wholeness. I wanted to be a whole person. And I felt I had disassociated from shadow parts of myself. And so they were running around in my unconscious. I felt like if I integrated them, made friends with them, was in relationship with them, then I could make a conscious choice. Then I can make a conscious choice. Great. I remember one particular constellation, not constellation, medicine work journey, working with ayahuasca. And I was feeling this, a fusion of love from my heart, pouring out of my heart in the middle of this journey. And it was towards darkness. And I was freaked the F out. Really. I was like, I came out of the journey like on my side. I was just like, who am I? What am I? Right? It scared the heck out of me. Now I realize and more fully have integrated, I believe that as souls, I believe we love it all. It's all part of the journey, as Martin and probably some others are aware of, light and the dark, low vibration, high vibration. It's all part of the human experience. It all gets a place. But because I did that work for 3-4 years, I believe that is why I can hold these fields. I believe that's an element of why I can hold these fields, because I've owned my own darkness. I've owned my own perpetrator. And then as much as I can, I always choose to come from light, right? Not perfect, but as much as I can. So that, and that was really completed before working with this client, right? I had done that work right before that. So about 3 or 4 years of that. And then, I have this constellation and dark forces are there. And now I've worked with it a lot. And that's my journey. That's my journey. That's my journey now. That's my journey with all of you. A part of my journey is actually taking a step beyond this particular presentation to using the field to evolve human consciousness. And so that's kind of the next direction I'm going. But for now and for this conversation, for most of the constellations I get, it's really working with these beings. And again, we're going to go super deeply into all of that. But I wanted to share my story and how I got here. So I'm going to do questions, comments, or thoughts for about 5 to 10 minutes. Then we're going to take a break, take care of yourselves, and then we're going to dive into the deep end. And we're going to go into the real meat of this training. But yeah, I'd love to hear any comments or thoughts, impacts as you hear this presentation go on. If anybody has anything that feels like wants to be shared. Ashini, please, and then Kendall.
So as you mentioned about the medicine, did you have these kind of encounters during the ayahuasca journey as well?
I never had external beings coming at me in those journeys. There was always my own inner darkness that I was working with and integrating. Yeah.
Okay. So
Good
have you
question.
been doing some kind of protection or something? Do you practice that for yourself?
Yeah, and I'll go into that for sure. We have 3 sections, and yeah, that's one of them is safety for the reps, but I'll also talk about that. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. Kendall.
Hi, Jack. Thanks for sharing everything. Something you said really stuck out at me about not being allowed to have anger in childhood. How did you deal with that? And have you gotten over that and in touch with your anger? If you
Yeah.
don't mind sharing.
Yeah, I'll go there for just a super quick share, and we can talk more offline about that too, Kendall. Yeah, it was a process. It was a process of integration. And I would never, ever be able to even hold this group without my anger, because so much of my strength is in anger. Not if it's volatile, not if it's explosive, but actually learning how to integrate it. I wouldn't have had the courage to hold this group field that we're in right now. So super relevant to bringing our gifts to the world, in my opinion. Yeah. Thank you, HP. Yep. So it was a journey of reclaiming it. Yeah, and intention, and in settings like this. It's lovely to do in the field where we set up us in anger and work with what's blocking. Yeah, thank you. Sandra.
Yeah, hello everybody, and Jack, I would like to ask if I'm understanding correctly. Now we were talking about outer dark forces, and now we're talking about inner darkness. What is the connection between those two? I mean, this is something that is shadow and personal aspects, or something that was disconnected or dissociated from us, from trauma, etc. But uh, inner darkness or inner shadow. But what is the relation to the outer darker being?
Good.
Thank
Yeah, I am going to go into that later, and let me go into it now. I believe, I hear people say it's one or the other, and many people believe it's one or the other, that the manifestations that they see in the field or psychologically are, in a way, are psychological energetic manifestations, that we've manifested it from our own creative elements. I believe it's both. I believe it's both. I believe that you and I, my belief is you and I are actually wired for light and dark. I believe that humans are wired for light and dark, that we have the coding in a way in us for both. And I believe there are external dark beings. So I believe it's both. I don't believe it's one or the other. I believe I have my own shadow and darkness. And I also believe that there are, I say dark, but a better and more honest word is simply low vibration. They just exist at a lower frequency, energetically. Cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sandra. Any other comment or thought before we take a break, refresh ourselves? All right, let's do Samar, and then we'll take a break. I'll play a song for all of you that I love. Samar.
Hi, everyone. As you were describing what the reptilian energy was, it's completely exactly what I was experiencing in my previous relationship. And I'm wondering how, from your work, you see the point where somebody decides to, I'm done with that. Because that came to me after severe, heavy abuse, sickness, suffering, losses in many, many, many areas of life. I just loss after loss after loss. And then I was left with nothing and nobody. And then I decided, okay, then I can only go up from here. So my question is, how does the soul decide that, yeah, I'm done with the darkness? Because like you said, we're wired for both, and I have seen and lived both, and I'm just wondering how that works. Do you have an idea of how that is?
Part of it is our own light. So it's kind of another both and, like the last question. Part of it is our own frequency and our own light. And when we can learn to hold our own light and our energetic field gets filled in so they're not holes, allowing energies to come into us, that's part. The other part is kind of what we're talking about in this group is like, where can I go? You know, you and I holding these fields, constellation fields, where can I go to get support and help? I think it's very, very difficult to rid ourselves of these energies alone. I think it's possible, but I think it's very difficult. They can just sabotage us. They can fuck us up. There'll be a voice in our head saying, "Oh, you should just kill yourself. You're unworthy." you know, all this trickery, which I'll go into later. But receiving help from others. And then the other part, again, being filling in our own light and our own healing. And I would say even maybe a third place is finding out why, which we can do through constellations. How is it they have access to me? Is it through sacrifices in the lineage? Is it through a dark past lifetime? Is it through uh, sex with malevolent people that have malevolent energies, attachments? So those are some questions.
You know, could I ask about one thing that you said just now? Do we have time for that?
Sure, I'll give a short answer, yeah.
Okay. If you said if somebody has had sex with somebody who has a dark attachment of sorts, because again, the person that I have in mind was matches to a T. The descriptions you were saying, the agefulness, arrogance, it's crazy. And I'm just trying to understand if that means I'm kind of attached in a way, even if the separation has been ongoing for a few years, because my mind goes back to those darker times a lot. So I'm wondering if this means there is still some attachment that I need to work on.
Not necessarily, not necessarily, no. And I would suggest, I would be curious as my facilitator mind, like, why were you drawn to a person with that frequency, right? What was it in you? Was it something in your lineage? Was it something in disowned in you, past life? Do you have other experiences with these beings? So that's always a curiosity. And I think for something like that to attach to us, we have to have our own holes in our energetic field. So I think you and I can perhaps be sexual with someone, but if our energetic field is strong, even if they have corrupted energies, attachments, I think we'll be okay. We may feel kind of shitty for a week or two in our energetics, but I think we'll be generally fine.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much.
Can I make one remark, Jack?
Yeah, a quick one, and then we're going to go to a break.
Yeah. We are higher than everything. So everybody is possible to heal from those things. We are the most high being ever. So all our helpers. So I want to remark how dark things are. It's always to be overcome. We are the highest. They need to serve us. That's the rule. But okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that totally resonates with me. But definitely our frequency, our light, our love, as Martin was saying, like when we can truly connect with that and radiate that, there's nothing that's gonna attach or cling to us. So absolutely 100%, I agree with that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a song I play. I'm gonna play a song for all of you as we go on break. It's called Return to Innocence. One of the things that I've seen for those of you who've experienced sexual abuse, I experienced kind of halfway with my mother, definitely over sexualized. And many people, of course, healing path have experienced. What the dark forces do, one of the things they try to do is they try to take away our sense of innocence. They do it when we're kids. They do it when we're children. And so once they take that, then we feel corrupted in our psyche. And then we go through life thinking that we're corrupted. And we manifest that vibration through our life experience. And it's really unfortunate. It's one of the first things they do is they just kind of try to take our innocence from us. We can never actually take our innocence, but it can get convoluted. It could get hidden, or we can lose awareness of it. But I believe our innocence, that part of us connected to source energy, is always there. And I'm not talking about what Hellinger talks about, which is a different type of innocence, right? I'm talking about something specific to dark forces. So let's go into that. I'll play that song for you. It'll be about 5 minutes. Come on back, take a breath, take care of yourselves, and we'll dive into the deep end. Okay, welcome back. Okay. I put it on hide non-video participants, so the people that have their video on, the ones will see. And those of you who are helping to support the field, if you can do that, as a couple of people, again, we met before this to support our field, the stronger container, as we talk about low vibration forces which can interfere. So let's talk about an important thing that some of you already mentioned, and that is nobody, what I call the elephant in the room, nobody wants to talk about this. Not many people anyway. So when I first presented on this idea of reptilians on Family and Systemic Constellations Facebook group, I got shot down by a lot of people. That I was spreading conspiracies. I shouldn't be talking about this. I'm harming constellation work. People see it come up in our fields. They see it, you know, you and I are the facilitators, see it come up in the field, and maybe even someone's been leading a constellation for us, and the facilitator did not want to go there, right? I'll share a story that I think has value, and also express why these people need us. After maybe 3-4 years of working with these forces, all of a sudden I started to get clues in the field. Like I would set up a little vignette, and then someone would say, oh, there's like a dark shadow here. But a couple of the clues that I get that dark forces are relevant to a lineage started to show up for me. And that never happened. It never even occurred to me that dark forces were relevant to my lineage. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. I should have known that they were, but blind spot being what they are. And with the facilitator, and then there was a full constellation, and like 3 frames on the screen, like this person's light was blinking on and off, and this other person was in shadows, and it was like super clear to me that dark forces were showing up. And the facilitator just, nope, we're going this way. We're not going the way the constellation is pointing out. We're actually going to go this way. And some of you have experienced that, right? So again, the elephant in the room being that people don't want to talk about it. And yet, if we don't have these conversations and bring these conversations to light, we live in ignorance. People live in ignorance, and that doesn't help anyone, I don't think. So anyway, I got these hints that it was relevant to my field. And I'm like, well, where am I going to go with this? Who am I going to turn to facilitate? And the answer, to be honest, was nobody. There's nobody I know of who will facilitate this for me. So I facilitated for myself. I self-facilitated. I had a helper there. I had reps that I trusted there. That was one of the worst facilitations I've ever done. But magic of the field, we got there. And I set up, and this is what I recommend setting up. So those of you kind of talk about how to structure these. I set up a rep for myself, and I set up a rep for relevant darkness. Set up a rep for myself. I set up a rep for relevant darkness. And of course, I had high vibration helpers in the field. I always have more light representatives in the field, frequency-wise, than low vibration. That's the key. That is the 100% key to safety. Always have more light than low vibration. And a little backstory, and some of you will probably appreciate this. Maybe some of you have a similar journey. I had 12 years of constellations around my mother, because that was my big trauma. And I'm kind of combining 2 constellations, but it makes it easier to share. But not one time in 12 years had a facilitator got my mother and I in connection in a field. It had never happened. It's probably 15 constellations, probably 20 constellations. Not one time She was always clinging to my belt, indicating that sort of sexual tension that was between us. She was collapsed. She was crying. She was like, it's about me. All of that. Brought in relevant darkness. And this rep's like, I'm getting pulled back. I'm getting pulled back. I said, okay, well, take a step back. Step back is see how many generations back you step. And this representative stepped back, I believe, about 5 or 6 generations. And the story that played itself out in this particular constellation was a mother, a great grandmother, who was impregnated in some war scenario, rape or something like that, occupation, has a male child, and she kills this male child. She kills this male child. And my mother and I were entangled. My mother and I were entangled. So you can see why we never got close, because we were entangled with a mother who killed her son. Right? Totally makes sense, right? I get goosebumps as I'm talking about now. For the first time in 12 years of constellations, the rep for my mother in the field says, oh, seeing this, I'm starting to feel strength. Like I'm starting to feel strong. And that proceeded further to her to say for the first time again, I actually want to hold you. Like I actually want to hold you. The first time. That's the first time. As we set up relevant darkness, and somehow darkness has been play in this mother, this great-great-grandmother who killed her son. And so, to me, that's why it's important, because there are some lineages where your client is never going to get helped unless you deal with the darkness. There are some lineages, so the energies are so prevalent. I don't think the trauma work will ever take hold unless we first clear off the malevolent influences. Clear off malevolent influences. So I think we should talk about this stuff. I love that all of you are here with me. We're talking about it. I believe this, even this is raising awareness, raising vibration. I think the reasons they don't talk about it is because they don't have training. 4 down here. Or they think it's dangerous to our reps. So we're not going to go there. Or they don't believe. There are people that are like, nah, this is all emotional or energetic manifestations of our own psyche. Okay, that's cool. I just haven't had that experience in these many constellations I've led. That hasn't proven to be true for me. It's proven to be true for me as sometimes this is an inner manifestation, but sometimes it's an external force. It's an external medium. And then finally, many people, facilitators, try to approach the work really from a psychological mindset. And the mystical, and when we start to get into high and low vibration forces, it gets too far out for them. And that's okay, because that's who they're meant to serve, right? Those are their clients, those are their tribes, so that's great. I will share again that it takes a lot of personal work, a lot of growth work for you and I to be strong enough. I've honestly started working myself at 18. And so in a way, I've done about 40 years of personal work at this point. So the more work that you and I do, the more we can hold these fields, right? So personal work is a key, and I would say specifically also personal work around our relationship to darkness, or owning our own darkness, owning our own perpetrator. That's another interesting constellation just to set up. And we'll do that at the training that I do. There's a training that I do, and part of that is owning my own darkness, owning my own perpetrator. And as mentioned, there's inner dark, I believe. And I also believe there are external beings who are dark. And I do believe in reptilians. I've just seen so many channeled materials, psychics in the field itself, and they all say the same thing. there are other beings on this planet. See, Christianity just calls them demons and says something like, oh, there are demons and there's, whatever. I believe it's more specific than that, personally. It's what I've experienced. So, where do they come from? What I have seen and read, hold your own belief, bring your skeptic. Your skeptic is super 100% welcome here. I'm skeptical. I don't believe anything until I see it. And after I saw it a bunch of times, I'm like, okay, there's something here. What all the psychics that I have come across that are the well-reviewed books on Amazon that are on these topics and themes suggest is that there are other beings on this planet. They vibrate at a different frequency than us, so we can't see them. They feed like a parasite, just like we feed on animals or we feed on plants. They feed on energies, right? We're three-dimensional, so we feed on three-dimensional energetics. But that they've actually been on this planet longer than us. That they've been on this planet longer than us. I see a number, it seems consistent around 500,000 years, long time. We came after. In my experience, and there are other dark beings too, there are other dark forces. I'm just talking about one, but it seems there are other cosmic beings, astral beings, etc. Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for sharing in the chat too, your stories, because I know it helps everybody. I worked with, for some reason about a year and a half ago, I was just working with Constellation facilitators. That's who was coming to me. And I literally had 4 constellations in a row facilitating for blocked healers. It's always blocked healers. And what showed up in each of these were babies sacrificed in the lineage, usually through the church, to dark forces to gain revenge, to gain power, because it was a cult, because they were tricked, manipulated. They thought they were working for the light, they were working for the dark. See that a lot. And those rituals allow these beings and their energetics to come into lineages, right? The ritual sacrifices, the sacrificing of babies, the calling in, working with the dark arts, the black magic. There's always a trade, it seems. Okay,
Azuma?
I get revenge. I get power. I get this job I want. I get to be a star in Hollywood, maybe, right? Does it go that deep? I think it does, but, casting couch. You want to talk about Hollywood, the casting couch. I have to sell myself to get this part to become famous. All the little boys that are passed around by the shadowy males in Hollywood. Right? We've seen enough stories around that. So these rituals can allow these beings into lineages. These rituals can allow these beings into ritual in lineages, church, whether it's cult, whether people have been tricked, whether the lineage was tricked into it, whether it was for fame, whether it's for power, whether it's for money. And the beings get control. You get the position, and we get control of your body to some degree. I personally don't believe that someone can lose their soul. I believe their soul can be hidden, but I don't believe that a being or a human ever loses their soul. And once they're in the lineage, they keep getting passed down generation to generation. The energetics of these beings and their access to us, their access to our clients, it creates a portal. And this portal flows down the lineage and keeps getting propagated. And then you see again, the lineages with these beings active. Every lineage has darkness in it. That's fine. That's normal for the human experience, light and dark. But the ones where these energies are active for our clients. In other words, they're being impacted by them. The ones that have grandpa, great-grandpa abused grandpa, and grandpa abused dad, and dad abused me. You know, that sort of thing is the one where I really see that I believe these beings have a presence, have a presence. So I'm talking about the dark right now, and then I'm going to go into how to bring the healing, right? So we're talking about the shadow stuff now, and then we'll move into how to work with them, how to deal with them. Someone asked earlier about the sex. They can also access through sex. That's where the you know, maybe grandpa is molesting dad or his daughter, you know, his daughter or his son. And that's shadowy, that's dark, that's perpetrative, that's all of that. But I believe what it also does is gives a low vibration being that might be attached to grandpa access to his daughter or access to his son. So he fools around with his daughter or son. Now the connection point has gone down one more generation, right? So it just keeps flowing down. And again, the basic premise we're going to get to is working with light. These forces do not like the light. And so working with light and light beings to clean up these energies, clean up these beings. What's tricky about working with these beings? Why it's tricky. So it is tricky to work with these beings. It is different than a traditional constellation, just for a couple of reasons, but they're important. Grandpa's trauma energy is not trying to resist us actively and trying to resist healing. Great-great-grandma's empty, broken heart and wishing her children were dead, whatever, or her trauma, let's just say her trauma. When we're working in an ancestral field, it's not actively resisting us saying, no, I don't want this. Occasionally, but pretty rare. When we're dealing with dark forces, my experience, we are dealing with beings who have agency. I don't want to go. I'm in this lineage. I want to stay in this lineage. I don't want you to get rid of me. I don't even want you to see me. They hide. They're very good at hiding. So they're conscious and intelligent, and they have agency. And by agency, I mean they have their own choice. And their own choice is going to be, I don't want to be seen generally. I want to stay. This is a food source for me. And I want to continue controlling this lineage and these people. That's one reason they're tricky. Another is, as I've mentioned, they can hide from the field. They can hide from the field. I remember bringing in a representative for darkness and relevant darkness because I got clues from the field like shadows in frames and light flickering on and off, and everybody was cold. I'm cold, but it's Eastern Europe and they don't like to use heat in Eastern Europe, and I'm in a big building. So I stay warm for this month until they start using the heat. And I remember leading this constellation, and I was like, okay, relevant darkness is relevant here, so we'll bring it in. And in the first rep, I got grandpa. I'm like, well, I wasn't trying to get grandpa. I was trying to get relevant darkness. So it can be difficult to get into a representation. So I brought in another rep. All right, what's behind grandpa? Oh, I'm the church. I'm like a big building, I'm the church. I'm like, okay, great. We still don't have what I'm trying to get. We have the church, well, we know where it came from. Okay, what's behind the church? And finally, that third representation, we got the low vibration being that was causing havoc for this person, right? So sometimes you will have to bring in more than one representation to get them embodied, and sometimes you need them embodied to truly be able to work with them. Feel free to bring in additional reps if you are certain yes, I really think these beings are here. You'll get them eventually into a representation. And I'll talk about safety for reps in the next little segment. So they can hide the field. They can hide from the field. They're difficult to get into representation at times. They can obscure the field. Some of you have worked in fields and reps will say, it's foggy, it's cloudy, I can't think straight, I can't. That is, in my experience, it may happen with a trauma field also, but my experience is it definitely can happen when we're dealing with low vibration forces. They definitely have the ability to cloud the field with emotions and energetics that block clarity towards the resolution. They have that ability. It's exactly where your high vibration helpers come in, because they provide the light. They're the antidote. They provide the light. So they can cloud the field, they can obscure the field. Low vibration reps, through representations, will lie to you. It's an outright lie. You will think you're getting truth. You'll think you're getting what happened to grandpa. Oh man, my heart was broken. And then this thing happened and I didn't mean to do that to my daughter. And then it's a lie. It's a lie. And the rep is picking up the truth. They're picking up what they're feeling and hearing. And the low vibration force is manifesting that storyline through the rep. It's another reason why I have high vibration helpers in the field with me, is because they will tell me, oh, that one is lying. And then you find out the truth is, grandpa says, fuck, I didn't give a shit. I wanted to trade it for power and I wanted revenge. And I would call in whatever it took to do that. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting to the truth. Great. So they will lie through reps. Again, it's another reason I always have high vibration helpers in when I'm working with low vibration forces, is because, and I'll ask them, tell me if I'm ever being lied to by the dark low vibration forces. So they will lie through reps. Eventually you can get to the truth. Clues are in the field. You can see shadows. The words used, like, man, I'm cold as hell. Or, this is just devilish. You know, they will use, clues will still come into the field that low vibration forces are relevant. You just have to listen to them. Listen for them. Coldness, itchy. I've heard people, this is not a clue I think that comes in my fields, but some people talk about itchy feeling, things like that. As a matter of fact, those of you in the chat, if you want to put in some clues of what you see, just if you've seen some clues that I haven't mentioned, put them in the chat so other people can see them. These are the ones, because the field knows me, so it kind of gives me certain types of clues. So put those in. Another thing that low vibration beings do, this is kind of where you get into the children and stuff like that. Yeah, the reflection of the mirror, that's an interesting one. Low vibration forces, in my opinion, destroy, and they do this to children, the ability to trust. They break, all of us, I believe, have an inner compass of who we can trust and who we cannot trust. I believe the low vibration forces intentionally break that compass. It's not permanently broken, it'd be fixed, but they break that compass so that the child or whatever does not know who they can trust and who they can't trust. And so you and I and our clients, we grow up and we're like, I don't know who to trust. Or, you know, maybe Samar, like, I always trust the wrong person. You know, Samar, you didn't say that, but, you know, I could wonder about that with your situation and many others.
Yeah.
So they have and I think they do it on purpose, because when we don't know who to trust, they have access to us. They can continue to fuck with us. Right? Whereas if we knew who we could trust and, oh, this person like, and I've seen it where someone that's from one of these fields and systems, they won't trust the person that's truly there to help them. They trust the person who's going to manipulate them and cheat them and lie and betray them in the end, or take from them. It's just a broken inner compass. I believe the dark forces, again, do it on purpose. We can fix that. we can help to recreate that. And they marginalize in childhood a sense of innocence. So we lose that sense of innocence. And when we lose that, when we think we're dirty or corrupted, our actions in life manifest on that line, right? Whereas we can get back to that, we can get our inner child's innocence back. Again, Hellinger talks about guilt and innocence. That is a different thing than I'm talking about. I'm talking about a childhood innocence that gets taken as an energetics from low vibration forces. Okay, so those are many of the signs and many of the things around working with them. I want to share one more thing, then I want to turn it over to all of you. They can mess with technology. They can mess with Zoom. They can do all that. Again, high vibration forces, love and light are the keys to safely working with these beings. So I've been able to do it for 5 years. Here's the key. They get a place. They get a place. They are part of the human journey. They are part of, yep, feel the creepiness in the field. Yep. They're part of human evolution. When I have set them up in fields, with like evolution set up, both the humans and the low vibration forces bow down to evolution. They get a place. They are not to be rejected. They are to be removed from lineages when appropriate, but they are not to be rejected. If we approach them from that place of rejection, which is probably what part of the work I did when for 3 years, I worked with my own darkness was, oh, can I accept this within myself, right? And I learned to accept it within myself, and then I can accept it externally. So very, very, very important point. They get a place. They're part of the human journey. And in a way, I think they almost get our love and appreciation for helping us to evolve our consciousnness from low vibration human consciousness, moving into higher consciousnesses. So let's turn it over for five minutes or so of questions and comments. Sandra, go ahead.
Yes, I have a question. When you said that we have to bring in the light or light beings or high vibration beings, is it okay to use the language of the client? For example, maybe somebody believes in God or in universe or in love. Can we name that in the language of a client?
I would use both, Sandra. I find that there are some energetics and frequencies and beings that are more effective than others. So I would absolutely have theirs in, especially if that's a support and valuable for them. And I would bring in my own that I am clear, help work with me in the field, which for me, again, is the Arcturians, angels of all loving realms, and sometimes other species and beings. So for me, both.
And you do it with the representative, or maybe we can light a candle, or
I think when we're really dealing with real malevolent stuff, I think we need to have it represented in some way.
for the light, I mean.
And I was just talking to someone else that went into one of these fields, and what she said they did was they went into prayer. And the whole group went into prayer, and they just flooded the field with prayer and light. And the energy got smaller and smaller. It seemed to be like a snake, reptilian type of energy, and then it left. So the key, Sandra, in a way, is actually love. Now, maybe I'm doing that through high vibration beings that have conscious intent to support me, just like the low vibration beings have conscious intent to stay. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great questions. Shona.
Hi, Jack. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I wondered, do you feel people, whether they be the clients or the facilitators, do you feel they need to have done a certain amount of work within family constellations in general before approaching this subject? Or do you trust the field and the people that are drawn for a reason? Or is there some sort of vetting that you would have in place?
Well, okay, this is valuable to share. my own experience, I didn't have anybody train me. Right? I didn't have any, people train me in constellations. I had traditional constellation training, but I didn't know how to work with these beings. I think in previous lifetimes I've known, but you know, in this lifetime, it hasn't been a part of my experience. So my premise was just like Hellinger, and I would put this out for all of you because it's really important. I believe, and I, you know, kind of again related to Hellinger, that if I can create enough safety in the field, and again, we're going to talk about how to create safety for reps. If I can create safety in the field, enough safety for my reps, for the client, for myself, then the field will teach me. I will learn from the field. And so I would put in reps like, what does Jack need to see? What does Jack need to learn? So I would put in reps in these fields I was working with the client to teach me what I needed to see about this particular field. I could put a rep in the part of Jack that knows, right? I believe there's a part of me that absolutely knows how to work with and deal with all these things, divine part of me. And so that's the first thing I want to share is that I didn't have teaching. I trusted the field. I trusted I could create enough safety, and it proved to be true. And yes, I think a new facilitator probably shouldn't work with these energies. Get a couple of years maybe. And then when they do, they should have just a ton of light in the field, walk very gently, baby steps, open the door, just crack the door a tiny bit. I don't know that, I think there was another element of your question, Shona, that I missed. So what did I not answer?
Well, I wondered about a vetting process because, you know, do you attract
Clients.
tricksters into this space and, you know, intentions?
Okay. And again, yeah, I'll get more into this. And I don't draw in my frequency at this point. I don't draw people that are kind of trying to play a game with me, like a client that's trying to play a game with me. And fortunate, maybe it's because of my evolution, I just don't draw that. But if someone does, that's still relevant, I think, to the personal work of the facilitator. And would I work with a new client on this level? Yes, but I would check in with them first. I'd say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. I think we can explore more and create safety. If it doesn't resonate for you, we do not have to go here. But if you want, I will open the door with you and we'll walk this path a little bit. So a new client, yes, I would. But I would check with them first in some way, get agreement before opening the door. Great question. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Debbie. Thank you. And Debbie, just kind of hold that while I work there. So appreciate that. Yeah. Martin, you have a quick comment, then Abir, a quick comment, and then we are going to move forward into safety for the reps.
Okay, you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I've one thing I've learned that's called the lesser banner ritual. That's a protection ritual. So maybe you heard of it, but it's you can look it up on YouTube. You see movies of people doing it, and for me it works well. Working with well to protect the group, protect me, to protect the field, because sometimes I think protection is also needed. Only for me already, for the group. That's one thing. And you talked about lizards and that sort of thing, and snails. How do you know? Because I also did ayahuasca and things, and I'm now a little bit curious. How do you know if it's a low entity being, or it is a representative of Mother Earth, like Mother Ayahuasca, or that sort of thing? Is it just a sense of? How do you know? How do you knew that there were reptilians were low and energy being? That's my question.
Good question. It's a great question. So I don't know when it comes into a field, is this, let's just call it a manifestation of the person and their psychology, or is, you know, kind of just a dark part within them or dark part within grandma that got passed down? Or is this actually a conscious and intelligent being that is some form of attachment? And I don't know, but I set it up in the field and I start to get a feel for it. And so it would be the same for all of you. You would just set it up in the field if you were working there, and you would just start to get a feel like, oh, this feels like a psychological part, or this feels like a being with its own agency that's perhaps resisting. So, yeah, that's great. Let's leave that there. A beer, final
Quick-
comment.
Quick question. So thank God, with that love and compassion, I don't have these energies anymore, but they tend to attack my loved ones or friends from time to time, and they go through dark years. Should I help, or is it invading if I do open for them FC or help them?
I would offer it up as for me, I would offer it up as a prayer because I work with the Arcturians
Very good.
relevant to that for myself, my own field. I would offer prayers if it's in their highest and best frequency, if you could help protect my child, protect my son, my cousin, whatever. So I kind of navigate it that way. So like, okay, if it's in their highest and best, I would like to ask for that for them.
So keep it as a prayer, that's much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and again, I'm going to share with all of you a Facebook conversation about this. When I first started, okay, I need to share this. When I first started working with low vibration forces 5 years ago, I got over a period of 6 months, maybe like 5 psychic attacks. And what I mean by that was I was in a dream state and I just felt a malevolent energy coming at me, kind of pressing in on me, and it was not a dream. And a part of my mind was aware of what was happening in the dream, even though it wasn't a dream. And at first, what I was trying to do for the first couple times is I was like, oh, protect me, spirits, protect me, divine light, and, protective bubble. And actually, it didn't work. It didn't work. But what did work, and I heard this from the psychic that I follow online, is, and after about like the third psychic attack, I was like, okay, it's not working. But I heard her say something. She said, oh, I approach them when they're coming at me or something like that. I approach them with love and light. Like I beam my light, I beam my inner frequency. And I'm like, oh, let's hug. And that actually worked. That actually worked. And the psychic attacks stopped after maybe this 5. I don't know that I've been attacked since then, but I'll share with you this Facebook link to this conversation and, definitely put your comments on it too, what you have. But again, I was like, is anybody going to respond to this? Are they going to think I'm crazy? But I had 100 replies and 100 replies. So people need to talk about this. It's valuable. Okay, we need to move forward for the sake of time because we only have 30 minutes left. So Frederica, I will come to you next in our next Q&A. And Diva, Diva? Yeah, I'll come to you also. Great, you guys will be the first, ladies will be the first up. Safety for reps. There's some specific things about my field that I need to share with you. One, you saw the meditation I led at the start, right? I'm doing that with strong intent, especially if I think we're going to be working with low vibration forces. About 20 minutes. I can set up the field ahead of time. I've got things like this and like this and the feathers and all kinds of stuff. So I set up the field. When I'm working with low vibration forces, I never let first timers to constellation work come to my event. When I know that sometimes I don't, and sometimes there are a couple newbies there. But when I know that I'm working with low vibration forces, or I think what I call a shamanic constellation, I never let people, it's not a good experience for whether they might be perfectly safe, but it's not a good first look for people to see that as their introduction to constellation work. So I never allow newbies in when I'm working with these forces. And I will never allow someone that's got a very traumatized field in, and they are still dealing with the majority of that trauma. So someone that's still super traumatized, alcoholic, I'm not going to invite them, and I'm not going to allow them to come. It's going to be for their own safety. So the reps that I choose is very specific. When I'm holding a group, I only, and this is another thing about me, in my constellations, I only allow in 1/4 of the group as new people. So even if it's a field and I don't know some of the people, 3/4 of my reps I am familiar with and experienced with. A lot of you don't have that option. I'm not saying you have that option, but I do have that option because I've got a large mailing list. So I know my reps that are there. There are certain people, another bullet point, there are certain people that can rep the low vibration energies and they're okay with it. I asked beforehand, who is okay representing these energies? If they're not okay representing those energies, 100% great. Not a problem. Do not have to rep it. I'll always have about 1/3 of the group that's like, yeah, I can represent that. Awesome. So I ask first who can hold these beads, and those are the people that I will choose. I also will say to that person when they're representing, again, I've already brought in light forces into the field to stabilize and light and illuminate the field that we're looking at. I'll tell them, don't represent this at 100%. Like a normal role, I'm grandpa, I'm like, oh, I'm an angry grandpa. I'm taking that on 100%. I'm really bringing through angry grandpa. Low vibration forces, we don't need that. We don't need that. So I tell people, hold it at like 50%. Let them be aware of you. Let you be aware of them. You do not have to take this on 100%. Full embodiment. You don't have to do full embodiment. It's not necessary. And have your guides and helpers with you as you're representing. I always tell them, have your guides and helpers with you as you're holding that frequency, as you're holding that being, as you're holding that energy, right? I know who's in the field. I choose who takes on what roles. And I tell them to hold it at 50%, have their protectors with them. Again, 5 years, I haven't had problems. Maybe one, maybe two minor problems, and then I clean it up, just like in family constellations. Same thing. I would never do a shamanic constellation at an intro event. Never, I would never do a shamanic constellation at an intro event. It just gets slippery fast. Always, as you're facilitating, if you choose to facilitate this, and again, my hope for all of you is that you take from this presentation, oh, I can maybe hold the field for these forces for a client. And then your client shows up and you see whether it's on Zoom or in person, you're like, oh, there's something slippery here, something's off. Okay, let me just very gently, if you're just learning baby steps, bring in some forces of light and love and high vibration. And then let's open the box, the doorway just a little bit, right? And that's what I did. I just learned. I learned from the field, but it worked. Enough safety, right? You'll have some little hiccups, some little bumps, but I really think we can help people. Always have more light than dark in the field. So if I have 2 reps for the dark grandpa, and sometimes it's the dark grandma, but usually it's the dark grandpa, let's be honest. The dark grandpa and the low vibration being or force. I'm always going to have like 3 reps for high vibration helpers. So I'm always going to have more high vibration, low vibration. And I'll ask my high vibration helpers, do you all in the field, do you feel like you need more help? Do the angels need more help? Yeah, this field's getting really dense. We need more help. Okay, let's bring in source. Let's bring in a divine purity of water to cleanse, to purify, to wash away. Let's bring in the angels of all loving realms. So always have more light than dark in the field. You can feel when the field starts to get stuffy and sticky and gooey and dense and cloudy. Okay, you need more light. You can even just take out some dark reps. We got too much dark representation here. Just gonna take one out. Just gonna take out. I'm gonna take out Grandpa. I'm tired of Grandpa. I'm taking him out. So more light than dark. That is the key to this whole thing. I'll talk more about this when we get to the light, but an introduction event, Stephanie. Yeah, I would never lead it at an intro event where I didn't know a lot of the people there. Yeah, thank you. It's good to name it again. High vibration helpers, I'll get more into that in a minute, but not everybody can represent cosmic energies. Cosmic energies represented can be taxing on the body, can drain the body, can feel fine while you're representing, and then afterwards you're like, oh, I went home and slept for 3 hours. Right? That's not what you want for your clients. So there are certain representatives, people that I allow to represent certain high vibration beings and frequencies, and some that I let represent the low vibration forces. So I'm very conscious, and I don't just leave it up to random choice of who represents what when I'm leading this type of field. I am making the decision, hopefully not from an arrogant place, but I'm making the decision of, I think this is the right person for this role, low vibration force. I think this is the right person for a high vibration force. If it doesn't work, I check in with them and I'm like, okay, let's bring in someone else. It's not quite the right alignment. Okay, so I've created a safe container before the event. I've only allowed certain types of people into this type of a specific event. I set up with meditation, I only let certain people represent the low vibration forces, certain represent the high vibration forces. I always have more high vibration forces in the field than low vibration forces, and they always need to be asked what they need. So I always ask them, like, can you let me know if there's any manipulation? Can you protect us from the dark forces? Can you let me know if they're lying? Can you let me know if dark forces are hiding somewhere? Can you help to cleanse the energy of the field? Can you keep my reps safe? I ask all of that overtly, out loud, to my high vibration helpers in the field, because they need to be asked, otherwise it violates human free will when they can't just do things for us. Okay, that is kind of a conversation about the shadow type stuff. And I think for the sake of time, we're going to go straight into the cosmic. Oh, wait, Diva, I mentioned that I would let you ask a question if you wanted. So let's go there. We'll go 1 or 2 comments, and then we're going into high vibration forces.
Yeah. No, I just have a question, Jack. Hello, everyone. I've done many constellations, and what happens is I feel the reps are safe, but my daughter and husband, they get all these attacks during night, being pressed down, and my husband is also going through a lot of challenges in all ways, and I'm not able to help. I have done quite a few constellations, but then it doesn't seem to help. So I just need help in, I just want to ask, how can my safety as a facilitator, and especially the loved ones, more tips other than praying and putting them in the light bubble, all that I do, but then sometimes it just goes out of hand.
Okay. One, I would suggest they probably have access to him for some reason, whether that's his lineage or something that they probably, not 100%, but they probably have access to him for some reason. The second, again, is I really believe in at this point and have made friends with these cosmic helpers, which are kind of different than deities. They're actual beings, they're personality. And I ask them before I go to sleep for protection. And be with me. I ask them for connection. I ask them for healing of my body while I'm in my sleep time. But one of the things I always do is ask for protection. And I imagine there's also personal work for him to do on some level relevant to the dark that's going to allow him to expand his illumination and them to have less access to him. Yeah, and it could be tricky. It could be tricky. I'm curious more deeply around I think it's a great question. How can we not bring this on the people around us?
It is tricky because the willingness is not coming from him at all to, go on this side. So it's way too difficult to deal. So I just have to allow time to heal, I guess. Not many choices in hand.
Yeah, and trusting his path for whatever reason, and he's connected to you and chose you, and so there's it sucks, and of course he gets to watch you grow and heal and do your work. So maybe you illuminate some things for him. Thank you. Okay, let's go into the forces of light. Cosmic beings. When I first experienced this idea of reptilians, and again, there are other beings, I believe in them, trust your own truth. I'm a skeptic. I wouldn't believe in them, except that I've seen it in my own fields, 100, not just reptilians, but dark forces 100 times. So now I believe, right? For me, I can't deny that. But for all of you, trust your own truth. But when I learned about the low vibration beings, I'm like, wow, how can I make this field safe? And I didn't know the answer to that. But the first book that I picked up, which I'll send you a link to, discussed that and said these beings called Arcturians. Okay, what's that? And that with their help, he was able to clear this client of these low vibration forces, that none of his usual methods worked. So with these high vibration beings, inviting them in, having them resource and support, he was able to bring that in support of the client. So I work with cosmic beings. I have less trust that I could set up perhaps Source, Archangel Michael. That's not the way I've learned to work. But again, for all of you, if you're learning to work in the field, try that. If that's where your heart is, or maybe it's the Indian deities or the Hindu deities, or whatever. Try that. I happen to, maybe I have a bias now. I do have a bias now, that working with a conscious being that's a life form just like myself together, that has this high vibration capacity that I don't have, is a powerful resource in the field. So I work with cosmic beings. Sometimes I'll bring in spirit. Sometimes I'll bring in source. Sometimes I'll bring in divine mother, right? I will definitely use some of these more Christian ones that I'm more familiar with. Yeah. Okay. If people are representing high vibration forces, we need to ground the field. High vibration frequencies, again, is taxing on the human body. So what I will tell my reps that are representing high vibration forces is, while you're holding the angelic realms, while you're holding the Arcturians, stay connected to Earth. Stay connected to Earth. And many times I will bring in a representative to represent Earth Mother grounding, something like that. So we got a channel connection going down to Earth to ground the field. Otherwise, again, it's hard on the bodies of people representing the cosmic energies. Humans' frequencies, we're not used to that. So to create safety for them, it's just going to tire them out, but to make it as safe as possible, Earth grounding when you're working with cosmic beings. When I first started working with high vibration beings in the field, my first reaction was, oh, you guys take it, I don't know what I'm doing, and you all are high vibration beings, and so you have this wisdom, you can see into the future and all kinds of weird stuff. And I gave away too much of my power. It wasn't a bad thing, but I gave away too much of my power. And what I've learned over maybe a year or two was, I understand human. I understand human better than they do in many ways. And so it's a beautiful dance for me between trusting their, just like trusting the reps, trusting their high vibration wisdom and knowledge, and my own wisdom and knowledge. So every time they say something to me, I don't take it as I'm immediately going to do this thing. I let it land on my intuition. I'm like, okay, that feels in alignment. So Yes, let's do that. So I gave away too much of my agency at first, trusting too much in the spiritual forces. And then I learned, no, it's a balance. It's 50-50 between myself and them. Final, kind of a final thing as we go towards, kind of moving towards closing anyway. Someone said something that really struck me. It was very valuable. Said the light is always stronger. The light is always stronger, right? So all of us, all of you, all myself, remember that. The light is always stronger. But she gave me the reason why, and I love reasons why. She said, because the light is a direct connection to source energy. The low vibration beings are feeding off humans and other frequencies, but they have lost awareness. They do have a direct connection to source, but it's corrupted, it's gone. They're not aware of it anymore. So their energies that are resourcing them are this food source of sexual trauma and blood rituals and shame and guilt. They love shame because it keeps us down, keeps us small, right? The little girl shame that blocked our innocence. So high vibration beings and the high vibration forces directly connected to source, directly connect to source. Low vibration beings and forces are feeding secondary. They're feeding off humans. They're feeding off whatever, right? So that being the reason why the light is always strong. Of course, the light creates all of it, right? The light creates the light and the dark. The light creates opposites, creates polarity as part of our experience. So, and again, they get a place. The low vibration beings get a place. Doesn't mean they get to live in this lineage that the client doesn't want it anymore. So, I mean, that is really it. That is really it. That's right. How I set up the field. That's what I see on how to work with the field with the low vibration forces. That's creating the greater safety. And again, with me, high vibration forces. And my hope is, and then I'll turn it over for a couple of comments. My hope is for all of you, that you can take that again, as I mentioned this once before, and just start to open that doorway. If you feel called to serve these people, that if you see it show up in a field, you don't just go the other direction. You're like, okay, I'm going to try to bring in some guides, and I'm going to bring in a guide in the field, like, oh, the part of me that knows. Okay, I'm going to bring in divine protection, source energy. If you have a connection to the cosmic, you say, I'm going to bring in the rep for the Pleiadians or the Lemurians, and open the door just a little bit, have a lot of safety, doesn't matter, and explore helping your client. Because again, I believe there are a lot of people with nowhere to go. There are millions and millions and millions of people, and they have nowhere to go, and yet they are impacted by these frequencies and energies and beings day in and day out, and you and I can help them. The field as a tool can help them, right? And again, I want us to wake up, especially in the Western nations that have discarded dark stuff, right? The Indian, the Pakistani, they know that these beings and forces exist. But the West, which controls so much of the power of the world, we have forgotten. And so they're kind of running amok, in my opinion. And so I believe we can help wake up humanity. And when we are awakened, now we can do something. Now we can clean up our frequency. We can make higher vibration choices. We can recognize, oh, that person's has a malevolent energy around them. I'm going to stay away from them. So, yeah. So thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Let's do a couple comments and thoughts, and then we'll do a ritual that I normally do to close the field. Let's go Alina, and then HB, and then Sandra. We do maybe a minute each. That way we can get a couple of these in. So Alina, what do you got?
Gratitude to you for bringing this up, really. I've been facilitating long and had time out since some time to sort things out, because I understand I need to include this aspect. And I got something as a contribution, possibly. I've taken training and treatment by Are Thoresen, who is a Norwegian healer, and he's author of 20-something books. And his key to deal with these forces is that there is everything got a 0 point. He calls it also Christ point. You could call it Buddha point if you like. So it's really to stand as the zero and the I am, as you talk about. But really, it is possible to strengthen that 0 point in oneself. And there's a lot to read. Here's one book, Demons and Healings, just one, about this. And it, And the last, I had an attack some time ago when I had done a constellation. And it was really in the night full on. And I prayed and prayed, nothing worked. And eventually I prayed, angels, please help to strengthen my 0 point. Boom, it ended. So this works pragmatically. So it could be something maybe to bring in as an aspect in constellation work, possibly. I've never done that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lena. Lena, put that group title, put the book title in the chat if you want. Maybe other people are curious.
Yeah.
And I'm going to springboard off that for 20 seconds, Lena, off what you shared. My belief is relevant to me getting sort of influenced or attached. It's happened a couple of times where I've caught some energy, nothing significant, but I always know there are people I can go to. So I always feel like, well, even if something happens, I can go get my own energy cleaned up. So that's kind of my fallback point, because it can happen and it might happen if you're working with these levels. But I believe there's so many beautiful healers out there that can help us. So HB and then Sandra.
Hi, Jack. Thank you. I mostly work one-to-one, and I was wondering if you had done this kind of constellation one-to-one.
No, and
Okay.
I don't, and I would be more cautious. And the reason why, and this is valuable for everybody, I believe that when something is represented in the field, the energy of of it in the field is stronger. And so I really want those high vibration. Whereas if you put down a mat or something like that, I would be cautious around how much light energy can truly come through that. So I'd be more inclined to working with it definitely in a group setting than one-on-one. And it's not to say that it can't be done, right? Trust your own intuition, explore it safely, just set it up a tiny bit. Just crack the door open a tiny bit, because I'm sure there's probably a way to learn how to do it. Yeah, thank you. Sandra.
Yeah, I kind of get the idea, maybe it's just my fantasy, that it is a little bit trickier to step out of the role if you're representing whether high vibe forces or low vibrational forces. Is it just my idea, or is
Say that,
it...
say it again, Sandra, I'm sorry. I looked at the chat.
I have the idea, maybe it's just my fantasy, that it is trickier to step out of the role if you are representing light or dark, or high or low vibrational forces than average, just regular role in the regular constellation. So, what would be maybe the best practice for cleansing yourself and your representatives?
So one is when I'm sharing to only take it on 50%. So I'm
Okay.
very conscious. And if I see them taking it on too much, I'll even dial it back. I'll say like, not even that much, like take it out even less. So I really don't want them to take on the full impact of that energy or body. And then we do a de-rolling even online where I have the client and them connect hands. On the very couple times when it seems like we've had a problem, what I've had to do is like, okay, let's have a couple of the groups stay after the call, and I'll have that one person that kind of felt something stay after, and then I'll set up a high vibration field for that person. And I'm like, okay, let's look at doing additional de-rolling, but let's stay after for 20, 30 minutes, and I always get a couple of people who are willing to stay and represent. So we do a little more representation to help them. And then as many people in constellation work would share, I would assume that there's a reason why it stuck onto them even more. And I would suggest that it's probable that they have something in their field that it attached onto that's relevant for them. So take it on lightly, not even that light, have enough light in the field. And that may not be a good person to represent it. Yeah.
Okay.
Good question though. Thank you. Anaha, and then Pranaya, and then we will close.
Hi, can I ask you a little question about a particular case that I'm stuck with, which is a similar, like a common situation, it seems. So basically, it's exactly what you said, where these dark forces steal our innocence when we are kids, and then you're operating out of shame for the rest of your life, and everything goes haywire from there. So that's exactly the case that I'm talking about. And from the age of 7, there was just so much trauma, black magic in the family, parental situations. The kid, when he was a kid at 7, took to porn. And then since then, he's been heavily addicted to pornography. So now, even though he really wants to get into a good relationship, this habit is just impregnated in his mind. So intimacy is obviously always going to be a problem. And also there was what I worked with and released was a very malevolent ancestor who was kind of stuck to him like a dark force since the moment of his inception. And because the child, when he was a fetus, couldn't feel any connection with his mother, the mother wasn't happy in her marriage. So since he couldn't feel the mother's warmth and love, he just felt lifeless. And this energy came in right at that time. And it's been there since he was a kid. So that energy, we've also done more work, deep work. So what happened is that particular lifetime, it's an ancestor, it's like himself reborn. And that energy was also extremely dictatorial, very narcissistic, and extremely misused women, etc. So this whole lifetime, this particular client is 37, 36 years old, but he has basically lived the life of that guy who's made all these choices and decisions for him. He's stuck in shame. And the biggest problem is he can't feel his emotions at all. So he can't receive love, he can't give love. And now after releasing this entity, this ancestor, he's still kind of stuck in shame, can't feel his emotions. And it's also this guilt versus like, oh no, it wasn't him. Maybe it's just me. I am the one who's evil. I have made these stupid choices all my life. And I still can't get off my addiction to porn. So it's me. I'm disgusting. Like no God will ever answer me, etc. So how does one break that cycle? How do we break in? Because it's the emotions you can't feel.
I would think that darkness is still relevant to him. I would think that, and again, the rep that I set up a lot of times is I call it relevant darkness because I trust the field will bring in the dark component that is relevant to the particular client, right? So I call it relevant darkness. But I would suggest that it's probably still in play for him. It's not complete. It's not just this grandfather. I would want to work more at that level. That's what I would offer.
Okay.
And we could talk
All
more.
right.
Reach out to me and
All right. Sure. Thank you so much.
yeah, you're welcome. Final share, and then we're gonna close. Pradna.
Hi, Jack. Good evening, all. Thank you for this opportunity and wonderful insights you have given. Uh, I have been working in this field and conducting as well as representing uh, different aspects of dark forces in the constellations of other facilitators. So what I have personally experienced is there are two things which have helped me tremendously in terms of handling different situations. First one is that there is this prayer for wholeness by Coach Trey Bradley, uh, in which we are actually in a way accepting and respecting the beings from lower, middle, and higher dimensions. That prayer has helped me a lot in terms of handling these kind of constellations. And second thing which has helped me tremendously is this book called Battling the Dark Forces by Master Thorcombe. And my mentor Kim Gupta has done beautiful book reading of 120 hours, and she has gone into detail in depth about understanding modus operandi of these low vibrational beings, how they operate, what tactics and tricks they use, and what are the different ways to understand all these dynamics. So it has helped me a lot. And I feel more equipped by whatever you have shared, all the insights, and thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you are welcome. Yeah, if you could put that name of that prayer in the chat for people, that would be
Yeah,
great.
I'll just do that.
Thank you. Okay. So thank you all for being here. I do have a YouTube channel. You can probably Google my name on YouTube, or I'll send a link. I have a lot of these constellations recorded when people have let me record them. And you will see, it'll help you to see it. You got to see what I just shared with you, but actually see it played out. So maybe I'll recommend one or two of those constellations that I was either most fascinated by or just really loved. But the way of just working with the light and the shadow forces and how we just got there. So I'll share that with you. I'll share the conversation on Facebook. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions, comments, or thoughts, let me know. I'm happy to answer anything. Oh, thank you, Steph. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's the YouTube channel, and you go to videos and you'll see all the videos. There are about 25 videos on there. And I'd like to do a closing ritual. It takes 1 minute. And what that's going to look like is we're going to all go inside once again. So just like we did the meditation at the start, let's kind of come back for 1 minute to that group field, group connection, connect into the spirit realm, connect into the highest of our lineage behind us that is so thankful and so grateful that we are doing this work even today, and the Earth Mother underneath us. And what I like to do is 1 minute of human silence. I like to share with the beings, guides, and helpers that have been with us today and release them to go wherever they need to go. So I like to give them 1 minute of human love and attention and energy and gratitude. So let's love them up with 1 minute of silence, and then we will close our circle. Okay. Thank you all. Those of you who started before will stay after and chat for a few minutes. And thank you all. So grateful for you being here, and blessings on the work. And I hope your clients are just so blessed, and see you another time. Bye all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Jack.
Bye,
Thank you,
Sandra.
Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Really
Much
grateful.
appreciated.
Thanks, Jack.
Bye.
Thank you.
Great
Goodbye.
night.
Thank
People in
you.
India get some
Bye.
sleep.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it's worked really well. I'm happy with it.